if you check here, we have used a lot of dependencies. These dependencies are inside the package.json file in the VS Code. So I'm going to show you how I install these dependencies. I'm going to explain what they all do so that you would understand and know how to use these dependencies in your next REST API project. You see, so we use the bycrypt, we use the .env and a lot of dependencies here for this REST API. So another thing you're going to learn in this course is how to use Postman. We're going to use Postman to test the REST API. So after we are done making the REST API, we're going to test it on our Postman here. So as you can see, let's register a user now using the Postman. And if you want to register a user, I'm going down to my email. And in this email, you will see me writing Joe. You will see me writing Joe Dave. So when I click on send, it's actually going to send the request to the REST API, and you can see message here successfully registered. This token here is encrypted and secured. I'm going to show you how I did that. So now if I go to the MongoDB database, you're going to see Joe Dave is going to be registered. So let me refresh it. And if I refresh the database, you will see the user that we just registered on the Postman. We're going to see the user on the database. So looking at it here, going down, okay, there you can see it, the joedev@gmail.com. Now this is the user we just registered right now on the Postman here, you can see. So this Postman, I'm going to show you how you're going to learn how to use Postman to communicate with your REST API. So not just Postman, let me go back. I'm going to use this Flutter app. I'm going to register a new user, and you're going to see from the Flutter app, the user is going to be stored in the database. I'm going to upload a picture right now, and I'll show you how that works. So now I'm taking a look at these. Let's see. I'm going to go to the sign up page, and in the sign up page here, I'm going to write Flutter as the name of the user, and the email is going to be flutter@gmail.com. And then the password too is going to be Flutter. Okay, so you can decide to make the password hidden. You can decide to show it. I'll show you how I did that. And then if I click on sign up now, you have to choose a profile picture. So you have to choose a profile picture here for the user. So clicking on sign up will prompt you to select a profile picture for the user. So let's say I'm going to choose, let me see. I'm going to choose this image here for the profile picture. Now you see the message there, message registered successfully. So now the picture now has been uploaded and the details now has been sent. So it will now prompt the login screen for you to log in. So now after you registered, you have to log in again to get into the app. But first of all, let's be sure that the user has been registered. So we're going to go and we're going to refresh. We're going to refresh the database. So this is it. I want to refresh the database, and you see the Flutter user that was registered. Now let's check that out. So you've seen down here, we have the user has been registered, the flutter@gmail.com. So this is what you're going to achieve too. You're going to see how we did this, communicating with the REST API we made in the VS Code. So now let's log in. You will log in the user, the Flutter, and gmail.com. So we log in the user, and we now come and put in here Flutter as the, which of course was the password. So if I click on login now, you see it takes you into the app, but it's gonna take a while. It's supposed to show your profile picture. So now it's downloading the picture, and after it downloads the picture, you can now see the profile picture of the user there. You can see the user details. Welcome Flutter. So this is the profile picture. If you check the database, we have the profile picture which is displaying here now. I'm going to show you how I did that. So now this is a really powerful course. You would learn a lot in this course. And at the end of this course, you should be able to make your REST API with Node.js, send images to MongoDB, upload images from your Android device to the REST API endpoint. Okay guys, so if you want to start now, first of all, we will have to create a folder. And if you check here, I'm going to create a folder and I am calling this folder REST API. Let me just call it a REST API course folder. So as you can see here, we are calling it a REST API course folder. So now we have the REST API course folder. This is the folder we are going to run the project on. So now I open my VS Code. Immediately you open your VS Code, the first thing you will see is this screen. So this VS Code screen here is the first thing you're gonna see, and now we're gonna open that folder that we created in our desktop. So I'm going to go to open file, and then we're going to type, the name of the folder was REST API course. Okay, so I'm gonna click open. Okay, I am seeing here no items match your sage. So I think possibly I went to the wrong, because here we have the folder on the desktop as you can see. So going back to my VS Code, I want to open that. Okay, I went to new, go to open folder. Make sure you go to the open folder. Then you look for your desktop, because mine is in the desktop. You look for the desktop. Then in the desktop here, we're going to do REST API course. I'm going to select this folder now. So now I'm doing that, the folder opens. Okay. So now we are in the folder now, we're in the directory, you can see here. So this is the REST API course here, you can see. So I can create a new file, I can do a lot of things here inside the folder. But for now, I think we're just gonna leave it this way, because right now, we have to now start installing some packages, installing some Node.js tools. So let me get rid of this. So inside your REST API course folder, we open a new terminal. If you look at it, I'm going to the terminal, I'm clicking on new. So when the terminal is open, you're gonna see, when the terminal is open, go to new, go to terminal. You see it first of all shows you the directory, which currently we are in the REST API course folder. All I'm gonna do right now is just to type npm init. So this will install all the packages. This will install Node.js in the folder in your project. You can actually quit at any time if you decide not to proceed, but now we're gonna click enter button. So in this description here, I'm gonna write this is a REST API course. So I'm going to click enter on the keyboard. The entry point is going to be an index.javascript file. So I'm going to click enter. I click enter again. I click the enter key. And the author is going to be me, Joseph. So you see Joseph. I click enter again. I click enter. So you see, is this okay? Yes. And I click enter. So now we're done. And if you actually check it out now, inside the REST API folder now we have a package.json file. So this is what installs when you go through that process. So we go through that process, we install the package.json. Take note. So the main file here is the index.js, and I am gonna create that index.js file now. So I'm gonna say index.js here. So this is the JavaScript file. We're gonna write all the code. So you see the main entry point is the index.js. So now, what next are we could do? Remember, take note of this. In order to use the npm init, we need to install Node.js. So if you do not have Node.js installed, make sure you have it, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I go to my browser and I type install Node.js. I'm just showing you this in case you do not have Node.js installed, because this is not going to work if you do not have the Node.js. So actually when you do that, you see here that this is the website. So here now you can decide to download for Windows, Mac, but I already have it, so there is no need to download it. So I cancel the download. If you do not have it, please make sure you install the Node.js using this link up here. So now I already have it, so I'm not gonna install that, but if you do not, please install it, or else it's not gonna work, or else this npm init that we did here is not gonna work. You need the Node.js installed in your computer to make it work. So now this said and done, we have the npm init and we did the necessary configurations, and then now we're now gonna proceed. So the next thing we need to do is to install some dependencies. There's certain things we have to install, and if you in this package.json, you have to install certain things to make this work. You understand? So these things called dependencies, you could call them libraries. So I'm going to talk about this Express now. They say take note of this. Express is a minimal and flexible Node.js web application framework. You understand? But mostly what this does is that it helps you respond. It helps you create a middleware, and this middleware, you set them up. When you set them up, they can actually respond to HTTP requests, and also you can also use create different routes with this Express. So this route now can perform different HTTP actions, based on the method or the URL, So mostly I'm going to use this to set up my middlewares. I'm going to use this to set up my route. So this route now, I can say send a post request, send a get request, depending on my URL. So without this Express, I'm not going to be able to interact with more the HTTP request I'm going to make. You know what HTTP is? It's a request, you send the get request, the post request. We do this using the Express route. So it defines a routing table, which is used to perform different actions. So that's the HTTP request, and it also defines a routing table, which is used to perform different actions based on HTTP method. So yeah, what is really important here is that the Express library helps you to perform some certain HTTP actions. It helps you perform different actions based on the HTTP method you use and the URL. So to install it, we have to use the npm install Express. So this is how we install dependencies. We go to the terminal, we click on new terminal here, and in the new terminal, if you go up, all we have to do is, after you install your Node.js and you run it, you have to come type here npm I Express. So that means npm install Express. So this way it will install Express in your code. So now you can make use of it to send requests, to send HTTP requests. You can make use of it to set up your middlewares. You can do a lot of things with it too. So another thing I would want to talk about too is NodeMon. We have to install NodeMon. NodeMon actually helps you to restart the applications when you make changes to your code. So if you make changes to your code, you could actually restart. You don't need to, the application would actually just restart on its own. So you don't need to manually go restart it. That application would just restart on its own. So NodeMon is a tool that helps develop Node.js based application by automatically restarting the Node application whenever the file changes. I'm going to show you how to use this. So we have to install this NodeMon. We have to install the NodeMon. So to install the NodeMon, all we have to do here is just come down here again. Like the same way we install Express, we have to come there and we install the NodeMon. So the Express is installed. We have to install the NodeMon here. So if you check here, you see the Express inside the dependency of the package.json. You're going to see the Express there. And then that means you can now use it. So that is the only dependency we have. When I install other dependencies, you're going to see it show there. You understand? You're going to see the dependencies show inside there. So the next dependency we're going to install is the nodemon. So now let me show you how I'm doing that. So to install the nodemon, you have to just come and type here npm, the same way we installed Express, npm I nodemon. So that is it. So all you just do, press the enter button. So all you just have to do is press the enter button, and when you do that, it will actually start installing. So with installing the nodemon, you just have to give it a little time. Okay, so what I'm seeing is an error while installing, and I don't like it. I don't know why, but I'm gonna do something now. I'm gonna try to just get rid of this. I'm gonna kill this terminal. I'm gonna end this. I'm gonna end this process. I'm gonna terminate the terminal, and then I'm gonna create a new terminal. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna kill the terminal, and I'm gonna go up here. I'm gonna start a new terminal. Okay, so now to do that, we're gonna say npm I nodemon. So install nodemon. Now let's see if this should work. Okay, so it's actually installing your nodemon. Okay, so nodemon have been installed. So if I go back to my dependencies, you can see we have the Express, we have the nodemon. So these are the two dependencies we're going to start with. I'm going to start with these two dependencies. So what next now? After you've installed your dependencies, we can now say, inside my script here, I'm going to say start. So this is going to start the app. We're going to start the app with this. So to start the app, we have to say nodemon, so that each time we change a file or we make changes to the file, nodemon is going to run. So nodemon, we're going to say index.js. So that means that is it. So index.js is the name of the JavaScript file. We're going to write the code. We're going to write the code inside the index.js file. So we're going to go to new terminal. And then we're going to say npm start. So npm start, and we click enter. Oh no, it's showing us error here, missing script start. That is because we did not save our work. Remember, each time you make changes, let's just save it. So let's save it and save all the changes we made, and let's save it, and we now start the application. So we saved the file. After we saved all the changes we made, we're now saying npm start. So you now see nodemon is working. We have here the nodemon 2.0.7. Okay, so nodemon is set. Nodemon is working. That is because we actually installed it, and we now had to write it here. So the next thing to do is to go to the index.js file. But take note of this. We have to make use of this Express. Now, I want to show you how to use this Express dependency, Express library. So to use the Express, first of all, we have to import. We have to call it here, and we're calling it inside the index.js file. So we're calling the Express here, and we're saying Express require Express. So we're going to require Express. Okay. Say Express require Express. Take note, we're doing this in the index.js file, the JavaScript file we created. It's down here. Let me just write a comment. I'm writing a comment here so that you know what I'm doing. This comment is saying this is, or this will import the Express. Okay. So what next to do is we have to initialize the app. I'm creating another constant, and I'm saying this constant, I'm calling it app. So the app will be equal to Express. Okay, so the app is equal to the Express here. So you see the app. but you can call it anything. I'm calling it app. Okay, let me call it REST API app. So I'm gonna call it the REST API app. So you see, I'm gonna call it the REST API app. Okay, so the REST API app is equal to express. That is the express we created here. So the REST API app is equal to express. So we're creating another constant and we're calling this constant a port. This port, we're going to use the port 9000. So this is a port. So the port is going to be for, let me say, for REST API. You're going to be for a REST API connection. So we're going to connect to this port. So each time you send a request or each time you send a post or get request, each time you send a request to the server, it's going to be listening to this port. So is this port down? It's going to listen to this port each time you make a request. So now you make a GET request, you register the user, it's all going to listen to this port. So we have to create a port. You could create yours. You could create yours to be 9000, 8000, 7000, but we're using 9000 here. So now we have to listen to this port. So we're going to listen to the port. We're going to put it in here. So after there'll be a callback function here, which is going to be asynchronous. So we're going to say asynchronous function. And here we pass it. So this now will listen to the port and then it's going to type in here console.log. I'm going to write here the port. The REST API port. Or should I say the REST API port connected. Okay. Right, so when the port is connected, it will tell us on the console that the REST API port have been connected. So, but I'm going to create another function here. I'm going to call this function init variable. So this function is going to initialize all our variables. So any variable we have will be initialized inside this function. So I'm creating a function just to initialize a variable. So I'm going to say, let me change this here to let. And then I'm going to say initially this is going to be null. But inside this function, we're going to have the port is equal to 9000. Okay. So this function, all it does is initialize our variables. So the next variable we're going to initialize will be the express variable or the REST API app. So the next variable we're going to initialize is going to be this REST API app. So initially it's going to be null. Initially it's going to be null. I'm going to select. All right. So let REST API app equal to null. So initially it is null, and then coming down here, you're going to have the REST API app is equal to express. No, not this express. I mean the express. Okay. So remember that is the express we created earlier. So this is the basic setup for the REST API app. So now this function here will just initialize a variables. You know, normally I like to write things inside the function so that the code will look more arranged. So I'm going to call the function here. In order to trigger, I'm going to trigger the function. So to trigger the function, I'm going to trigger it in here. I'm going to trigger the function here. So now with this, whenever we run the app, it's gonna trigger the function. So we're gonna say then when you're done, or when the function is executed, I want you to do something else. So when the function is executed, it is gonna listen to the port. So after you initialize the variables, we're gonna listen to the port. So we're gonna copy this. After you initialize your variables, we call the function the initialize variables. When we initialize the variables, then we now listen to the port. Okay, so we are one step forward now. So now we initialize the variables, and now we are listening to the port. Okay. So now I think I should save this. I'm gonna save this work, and then you're gonna see how it runs here. So first of all, let's print out the port. We're gonna print out the port here. So I'm gonna say port. Okay. So if you're following me. So now we're gonna save. Remember to save all your work. And the moment you save it, you're gonna see here REST API connected to port 9000. So you see, I'm gonna save it again. So this is what NodeMon does. Each time you save your work, the NodeMon actually restarts the app. So you see REST API port connected to 9000. So that is just the basic setup now for the Express. So the next thing to do is to set up the database. We're gonna set up the MongoDB database. So in the next video, we're gonna set up the MongoDB database for the REST API. So this database is where the REST API will send all your information to from the mobile app to the database. So stay tuned, like and share, and make sure you subscribe to the channel.